Hi guys, welcome back to the Funny Thing Is podcast. I am your host, Nicole Birch, where every week I bring you a guest who shares a life-changing event, the medicine they took to get better, and the funniest lesson they learned along the way. Today, we are going to do a solo episode, obviously, if you can't tell by the setup. But more importantly, we're going to talk about judging and comparing yourself to other people. And then we're going to talk about Ozempic and Zepbound and the trizepatides and the semaglutides and the GLP-1s, because a lot of you have been messaging me asking my thoughts on it or sending me things on Lizzo. Do I think that I don't know when I got into the space of this where people ask me what I think about celebrities, because I try not to think too much about them in context of judgment, right? But we're going to get into it. So first of all, I want to tell you guys a story about myself, because you guys might think that I'm on a different side of the Ozempic thing. When Ozempic first came out, first of all, it came out a long time ago. And I was actually prescribed it when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And I didn't take it because injectables scared me. And to be honest, I had a kook of an endocrinologist. She was wackadoo. Her hair was like thinning and falling out. She was overweight and looked like she had some skin disease. So she wasn't somebody I was going to be taking medication from, in the sense of, she was like, this might help with the weight loss part of your Hashimoto's. And I go, will it help with my Hashimoto's directly? And she goes, no. And I was like, okay, then I'm probably not going to take it. And that was before, the Kardashians, everybody thought the Kardashians were on it or whatever. And so that was, let's see, I was diagnosed in 2019. No, 2020. And so I would have gotten that shot maybe in 2021, and I didn't take it. And they just sat. If I would have known how much the resale value was, which is illegal, you can't do that. But would I have done it at the time when you're broke? Absolutely. But I didn't do it then. And then I slowly became gluten-free, dairy-free. I've got my Hashimoto's in what they call remission, where my TSH is, I think, when I'm not feeling well, it's at like 3, which is still better than 96. And if you know those numbers, you want to kind of be under 2. And I was at 96, where the doctor was like, I don't know how you're moving. And I was like, yeah, me neither. So my biggest symptom from that was joint pain. I felt like from neck to sciatic thigh area, I felt like my whole body had been in a car accident. The inflammation was the worst. At the time, fatigue and lethargy was really bad. But once I became gluten-free, and I know you guys know I used to make fun of people when I was saying that gluten-free is a joke and that unless you're celiac, you don't really have it. And boy, did that come back to bite me in the butt, because I did a whole, the 30-day where you cleanse everything. You're basically eating raw vegetables for 30 days. And then on day 1, I tried gluten and I blew up like a balloon. And my joint pain came back tenfold. So all that to say, that was 2021, 2022. I've been pretty much low numbers, healthy numbers, in remission for the last 2-3 years. I'm not on any medication. I'm not on a Synthroid. Synthroid did not work for me anyway. And Citamil, which is something they give you for, I think, the T4 or just the T3, made me really sick and I had to go to the ER. So I ended up doing a desiccated pig thyroid. That helped get my numbers from 96 to 30, but I still felt like garbage. But it helped a little bit. Anyway, so remission. Cut to, I'm at my cousin's house, Nurse Rachel, the actual Nurse Rachel that my character is based on. We are in Nashville, Tennessee, visiting. And you guys know I married a younger man. He is 13 years younger than me. The last thing I need is for me to ask him to help me out of bed in the morning. And I had a flare-up, and I'd been having them more than usual. I would get maybe twice a year where I would feel really sick. And I don't mean sick like the flu. I mean sick, joint pain, really weak. If I worked out, I'd have to sleep 6 hours after a workout. So then I just wouldn't work out. All of that. So I'm in bed and my cousin walks past and Matt's helping me out of my bed because I'm like, my back is it's killing me. And she goes, whoa, what's this? What is going on? And I go, well, I have Hashimoto's. I'm having a flare up. And she goes, yeah, that shouldn't be happening. And I was like, right, but I'm not on, thyroid meds. And so this is just something that comes along with it. And she goes, that's inflammation. you have severe inflammation right now. Have you thought about getting on a GLP-1? And I was like, it's so funny because I had my judgments of people that went on Ozempic. It's the easy solution. It's the easy pill and all that stuff. And I was probably 165, 170 when we were having this conversation, which was better than the 190 I was after I gave birth. So I wasn't really looking to lose weight. I knew I needed to, but it wasn't, once you give birth and you bring a kid into this world, for me at least, I had no more body image issues, really, unless it would make me winded, unless I was winded going upstairs and I couldn't keep up with my kid. That was the only thing that would make me want to change. But all of that self-conscious stuff I used to have about, oh, I can't fit into a bikini. Oh, what am I going to look like at the beach? That went away because I saw what my body could do and what it survived during childbirth, that I didn't really have that anymore. And so, she was explaining to me what GLP-1 is and what it does. And then there's tirzepatide and what it does. And basically they're both neuro anti-inflammatories. And she goes, it's going to work in your brain to deflame the parts of your body that are inflamed. And I already knew how much inflammation, every autoimmune disease, every one of them starts with inflammation. And the only reason there's a difference between Hashimoto's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, all of them, is because of how your immune system reacts to that inflammation. So mine, it affects the thyroid. MS, I believe, affects the neurological system. Rheumatoid arthritis affects your joints, right? And so for a while, I was seeing a rheumatologist because that's what they thought that I had. That's how bad the pain was. And they said, it's still most likely your thyroid. So I go to my endocrinologist. I asked to be put back on, I think she put me on Wegovy. I had a bad reaction to that. I think I had really bad migraines with that. So I did one shot. I didn't like that. And then I waited a couple of months and I got on Zepbound, which is a tirzepatide like Majorno or Wegovy, I think. And within 3 days, my joint pain went away. And I was like, oh, hey, now. Now, I will say I was on Zepbound for probably close to a year. I was on the lowest dose. I never increased a dose. There's reasons why I didn't increase. One, I wasn't doing it for weight loss. It had fixed 92% of all my joint pain. My back pain, me getting up, me being able to play on the floor with my daughter and pop right up wasn't a problem anymore. Where the first year of her life, that wasn't even possible. I mean, there's videos, and it's so sad for me to watch some of these videos of me playing on the ground with my infant daughter. And I have to do the thing where you have to put one knee up and then use your knee as leverage to get the other knee up to get that and you're just in so much pain. And I didn't have that. And not really. Like every now and then I'd tweak something, but it was, I am in my 40s, so there's some natural progression of that. But it helped a lot. And I think I lost maybe 10 pounds in that whole year. So it changed my perspective on it as, the universe does when we judge something, like how I judged people for being gluten-free, thinking that they were just picky eaters or needed attention. And then you find out because God, universe, whatever, gives you something where you have to be that. And then with Ozempic or with Zepbound, I realized the food noise stopped too. So that's something else I want to talk about is the food noise. I knew my next 3 meals. I was a foodie. I snacked a lot. If I was sad, I'd celebrate with food. Or if I was sad, I would medicate with food. If I was happy, I would celebrate with food. And my sister doesn't have that. And we joke about that. She goes, I never think about food unless we're at a restaurant and it's time to order. I was like, dang, man. I will say when the food noise stopped, I understand that a lot of people think that that is a quick fix for people instead of working out or, it's a lot of things. But what it did was it gave me the opportunity to feel a bunch of other feelings that I haven't felt in years and things I had to address that I hadn't been addressing because I'd been focusing on the food noise. I don't have to think about that relationship with so-and-so because I can just eat and satiate whatever this feeling is. Well, that's gone. So now I have to deal with that relationship, if that makes sense. And I think people don't understand that. And I think there was a special that Oprah did where she starts talking about now Ozempic partnering with Weight Watchers. The only reason that gives me a little bit of the ick is because it's like going to a personal trainer. It's almost like, to me, in my mind, those are two separate things. But hey, your girl knows not to judge now because look where I'm at. So I get maybe turning off the food noise and then focusing on that program. But that program was so specific to calorie counting and accountability. I don't know. I don't know why that feels incongruent. I haven't really thought that out. But if it's also helping people, who cares? I also wanted to say this. I have never talked about this publicly. I've never told people that I'm on it. And am I worried about the backlash? I'm also 43. I don't give a shit anymore. And I think when I talk to other people, especially other comedians, I have a friend of mine who, a fantastic comedian and very body positive. She's always been a bigger girl and now she's losing weight, but she also has severe PCOS and PPD, which is that what it is? Is the PPD the one where right before your period, you have deep depression and you're on medication for it? And so she jokingly was like, yeah, 2 days a month, I'm suicidal. And I was like, ooh, I don't know what that is. She goes, my hormones fluctuate so much that it takes me into this deep depression and I have suicidal ideologies. So I was on, so she was on Wellbutrin or some type of antidepressant. And then she had PCOS. So she was in a lot of pain, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. And when she started doing Ozempic or whatever, one of the drugs she was doing, she's lost a bit of weight, maybe like 30 or 40 pounds. And she said, the best thing is I'm not on any medication. I'm not on medication for my PCOS. I'm not on antidepressants anymore. I don't have any of those symptoms, all because it did away with her inflammation and her body was allowed to heal. And we also know about the Ozempic babies, right? All these women were losing weight. We thought it was all these women losing weight. And so now their fertility issues went away. And so they were getting pregnant more easily. And what I have found out is a lot of the people I know, this isn't obviously a whole study, but they hadn't even lost a lot of weight yet. We're talking 7 to 10 pounds. That's not really enough to change a fertility issue that's gone on for 10 years. And within 3 months, they found themselves pregnant. That to me says it is an inflammation thing. That is not a cutting the food noise out, making you not hungry, any of that. And my cousin, who's a registered nurse, she said it's kind of a magic pill in the sense of everything we've been putting in our bodies to inflame it over the years, the processed foods, the sugars, everything like that, it's helping deflame everything. And ironically, I crave healthier foods now because I don't have that food rot in my brain going eat, 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 eat. So now when I do eat, I eat selectively. That I think is more mental than it is the drug doing its magic. Because I do know a lot of people that are on the shot that still eat garbage, but they just eat less of it. And I'm more intentional with my body and getting it moving because I have space in my brain to focus on that and what I want my body to feel like. But I wanted to have an honest conversation because a video popped up this morning and it's a guy I follow. He's, one of those spiritual, I don't know if you want to call him spiritual, but he's like a self-helper kind of guy. Maybe I wouldn't call him a guru. Danny Morell, who I love 50% of what he says and 50% is just not for me. Because it can just get a little too judgy, I think. And as my stuff can as well. We're just different. But he said, people taking Ozempic, it's a pill. First of all, it's a shot. But it's a pill that people take when they have a void inside of them. And so they're taking this thing and they're doing it to fill a hole inside of themselves. Now, there's part of that I absolutely agree with. the messaging he was sending, I don't necessarily agree with, because my sister and my brother, there's 3 of us. We all have a void that needs filling. They were not born with food noise, so they have no idea what that is. They have different things, I have different things. But us all having a void to fill, instead of like I fill it now because I don't have that food noise. I fill it with journaling. I fill it with exercise. I fill it with clean eating. That's a choice that I make, right? But if that food noise kept going and there was I've done talk therapy, I've had personal trainers, I would go hiking 3 days a week. The 3 main hikes in Los Angeles, which are Griffith, Runyon, and Fryman. I would do those 3 days a week. I was very active and I still could not turn off the food noise. And with talk therapy and binge eating and stuff like that, nothing was going away. Talk therapy helped with the binge eating part, I will say that. But still, all day, every day, my mind was manically thinking. You know, when they say the difference between men and women when they fall asleep is that men fall asleep and they're like, oh, had a good day, good night. And the women fall asleep with 19 different things going on in their head. Do that times 4, and 3 out of the 4 of those things are going to be food. So if you take that away and you can refocus. So yes, do I think that it's kind of filling a void? Sure. Do I also think that I don't have the back pain anymore and that I can be more present? Yeah. And it's not the only thing it's helping with. Now they're saying it's helping with lupus. It's helping. Now they're testing it on all the other autoimmune diseases because they know about its impact on inflammation. And even one of the things it does to help diabetes isn't just to help your A1C, because I actually have a low A1C. So I don't need my A1C lower. In fact, that's why I have a doctor monitoring me and why I didn't increase the dosage. Not only because I wasn't doing it for weight loss, but I have a low A1C, so I don't need help in that department. But even with diabetes, one of the key things is that it lowers inflammation. And I think we're still learning a lot about that drug. So, and then the big takeaway is, take it from me, don't judge people on and when I did the gluten-free thing, making fun of people, it was in jest, and it was because of a friend of mine, and she was in the audience, and it made for a funny bit. But you never really know, especially when somebody comes out with a new pharmaceutical product or something that is helping people, you don't know what it is until you're in that situation. And so like people that just make blanket statements about it, I haven't been on it for a few months. I haven't gained any weight back. My back pain is coming back. I'm also staying at a friend's house who has a soft and cozy bed, and it's awesome. But I couldn't get out of bed this morning. I had to do the what I call the 9-month pregnant roll to get out. And then once I stand on my feet, then I can do my stretches and I'll be fine. But all that inflammation's coming back. So I don't really know what to do. The main reason I got off of it was because I just was like, oh, I don't want to be on it forever, right? Like you don't want to be on it forever. So I think that I just wanted to like showcase that there are a bunch of different reasons why people are doing it, or different things that it's helping. And I wish that there was something else that helped with my inflammation, but that was the one thing that worked. And in fact, each one of those is different. Like Wegovy did not help me. Ozempic I didn't use, but Ozempic, I have found other people that have Hashimoto's, Ozempic doesn't help them, but Zepbound, trizepatides help them better, which I think is all stuff that we're learning about. So there is that. I'm trying to think. Oh, that's the other thing. The comparing yourself. I saw this girl. She's a friend of mine. Her name's Amanda. Super successful on social media. She's absolutely gorgeous. I think she just turned 30, maybe. And she's been doing social media for like 3 years. And she did a Thanksgiving post where she's like, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I know that sounds cheesy. She goes, when I first started doing this, I was like, oh my God, I'm too old to be doing this. She was 25 when she started. And I'm like, too old? Bitch, I didn't think I was too. So the fact that she's like, I thought I was going to be too old, but you're never too old. It just made me go, oh, that's so funny. In her perspective, that's what she thought. I never thought about my age keeping me out of the social media, out of acting in Hollywood for sure. But social media, I had no concept of that, thinking that that would keep me out. So everybody's got a different judgment of themselves and of other people, which I find fascinating, how they compare themselves to each other. And it's really hard sometimes. And I have a girlfriend, and we just talked about this week, where she's comparing herself to a friend that's going on to do big things in the entertainment industry, and they kind of came up together. And I have a friend that I went through with the Groundlings together who ended up on SNL. And so I had issues around that, which I luckily don't have anymore. But it's really hard because when you envy somebody and you really want what they have, it's really hard to switch perspective, but that's the only thing that you have in your pocket. That's the only card you have to play, is to change perspective. Because I know for a fact, if I had the numbers that I have now on social media, if I had those in 2019, 2022, 2021, I would be buying houses right now. Multiple houses. I'd be jet setting everywhere. And the fact of the matter is, with the numbers I have now, I have no paid partnerships. I have no sponsorships. Like, that's just what the landscape looks like. And that's not true. I occasionally, and it's not that I'm not booking gigs, right? I've got a gig with Baby List and Groansy on next week. So it's not like I'm not booking anything, but I'm not booking the ones that are like, hey, do 4 videos for $30,000, do one big campaign for $80,000. And then you have 8 of those a year. That's not what I'm doing. And it gets very frustrating because I see people that just started earlier. And that's the only difference. They started when Instagram was going from just photos to videos and stories, and they were taking off. And some of them you guys know, because it's like the Talberts, and Drew Talbert and Andrea Kelly, who are from Bistro Huddy. They deserve all of it. Am I envious of what they have? Absolutely. It does help that they're such amazing people that I'm not jealous, but I'm envious, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, oh, I want what you have and I don't want you to have it. No, I want what you have. I want us to both have that. And they want me to have that. But it's one of those things where you look at and you go, oh, the more I compare myself, instead of turning it into a learning lesson where I can call Drew up and pick his brain, where I can be like, hey, oh, you're doing SAG insurance through this. What does that look like? And I can call Andrea. I call Andrea probably way too much. She's probably annoyed by me, but I always pick her brain. Like, where do you think I should take this next? Do you guys have any ideas? Because they know that they got in when the time was right, but they also had such a great idea that they can keep expanding, which is really hard. Because some people, like some DIYers, not a lot, but I know there's this one DIYer I followed who had like 12 million followers, and now they're just kind of done. They don't want to do DIY anymore. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, so now we're going to do travel. And they lost like 6 million followers overnight. And I was like, what? Why did you do that? And they're millionaires. They don't care anymore because they got in 2019 and now they're making that money. And I look at that and I go, oh, that's right. At some point, I'm going to have to switch ideas. And you feel like it. Like I talked with my friend Shane, who's a commercial actor here in Los Angeles, and he books all the time. And he goes, I'm so proud of you, Nicole, because you make your own content. You made your own stuff, where I work for the man. And sometimes the man is good to me and sometimes the man is not good to me. And I remember thinking when he said that, I was like, yeah, but you're a successful commercial actor. Like the minimum you probably make a year is $100K, a minimum. And I remember him being envious of me. And I'm envious of him. And that's where the thing is I think when we envy people or we compare ourselves to other people that they're doing better than we are, that we have to remind ourselves there's something within them that we wouldn't trade places with, right? I know that there's other actresses out there that are crushing it and comedians that are crushing it. They're not married. They don't have kids. I love my husband. I love my daughter. I am so blessed with them. Does that keep me from working 43 shows, 43 weekends a year? Yes, that does keep me from doing that. But there's so much good with that I wouldn't change that. So you have to remind yourself when you're comparing yourself to this one person that you think has it all, remind yourself that they don't. It's on social media. It's mostly fake. And that there's something about, you don't want their whole thing. And the only reason they are where they are is because that's how the whole package came to be. You're on a different timeline. Maybe your time isn't now. Maybe it will happen if you keep plugging away. I also saw something recently where, who was it who said this? This was another influencer where they said, I just couldn't, maybe it was Mel Robbins, who said, I just couldn't imagine after putting all this work in, all these podcast episodes, all these TED Talks, all these big speeches and corporate events, I couldn't imagine that I would put in all that work and it would lead to nothing. And I had to remind myself that every day. And sometimes I have to remind myself that, right? Would I love big sponsorships for this podcast? Absolutely. But it's also like sitting down with people or being able to talk to you guys and having you guys DM me, and the messages and the friends that I've made through this podcast, especially when we talk about health, wellness, motherhood. I get the most messages on motherhood. Well, that's not true. The most messages I get about Bistro Huddy because they have such a huge following. The second would be motherhood. But then when we compare ourselves, those other people might be looking at us through a different lens as well and envy us just as much. So I think we need to remind ourselves that, give ourselves grace, and know that our time, I know it sounds so stupid and so cliche, but our time is coming. And I just think that I hope in this new year that you guys give yourself some grace, give yourself some patience. Don't force yourself to say 2026 is going to be my year. Don't force yourself to say that. Like, just live in the now, live in the moment. Because every time somebody says 2025 is my year, how many people? I know 2 people that would probably say that. And they would both say it came down to luck. So I take the pressure off of being like 2026 is going to be my year. Instead, I'm just enjoying the moment. I'm just so grateful for what I have right now. I'm grateful to be living in Kansas City, to have my husband and my daughter, surrounded by family, that I get to still fly in and do the podcast with you guys here at Petty Cash Studios in West Hollywood. And I'm just so grateful. So this year I'm going to focus on gratitude, and here's why. Because I want to see what happens and what the difference is if I lean into gratitude, what it will look like 12 months from now. And I hope you guys do the same. Thank you guys so much. You guys can follow me at NicoleComedy.com or Nicole Birch Comedy on all socials. See you next time.